That voice permeates, Tracy G. I watched the vibration of that voice make me feel better just watching this person online.
Yeah.
Right. I can't forget the first time I discovered her and heard her speaking so powerfully and so assured with so much experience. And it was so refreshing because I discovered her on social media. And I happen to not like to go on social media much because I don't feel well after I experienced social media. But I said to myself, here's a person who's extremely gifted, extremely talented, who's been through an amazing journey and lived to tell the story, but utilizing the story as a tool for understanding, a tool for healing. And when she speaks, she doesn't speak to individuals. I feel like she's speaking to us.
Yes.
And for that, I really appreciate her. She's a world-renowned psychology expert, life coach, the president of the NAACP in L.A. She's the founder of the Dr. Bryant Institute, and she even has her own street named after her.
Crazy.
I want to welcome her to the show for the first out of many times. Give it up for the one and only Dr. Cheyenne Bryant is here, man. Come on, man. She's up in the building.
Yeah.
She's up in the building.
So privileged to have you.
Yes, thank you for having me. I want to say, listen, Sway, there was a time when we thought you didn't have the answers.
Yo, yeah.
But now we know.
If you say it.
You got the answers, Sway. You got the answers, Sway.
The doctor,
That's how you know it's the truth.
the doctor, she tells no
Listen, I
lies.
said Sway got the answers, and I believe I do too. So I gotta get on this.
You got
show.
the answers. Come on. Come on.
I
But
gotta
see,
get on here.
your answers are well studied, well researched,
Yeah.
documented, and degreed. My answers just come from wherever my experiences lie. But I appreciate the fact that you utilize your voice the way that you do. You know, and I'm curious to before you became a celebrity, what made you want to speak out to us like this? You didn't have to do that. You could have kept it private, but you're speaking out to a whole public platform. What made you decide to do that?
Because I'm a little girl from the hood. I'm a little girl from the inner city who worked her ass off and was very determined and tenacious to do two things: make it out and make my family proud. And so when you come from a place of brokenness, you come from a place of a certain environment that is meant to shape you in a way that I was in disagreement with. And I was able to find peace from my broken pieces. I was able to navigate it and get to a place of healing. I just knew then that God didn't give me that to keep. What he moves through us, he gives to us, but not for us to keep. And I said, God, listen, I'm going to commit to myself and to you, that I'm going to give everything I have to make sure that every person that looks like me, and look like me doesn't only mean race. I'm talking about a broken person looks like me, no matter what their race or gender is. I'm talking about a little girl, whether she's black, brown, or indifferent, who has experienced abandonment like me. She looks like me. Pain that looks like me is what I want to talk to. I do address and advocate for the black community. I say that on a mountaintop. But I talk to pain. So whoever has pain is who I'm speaking to. And so when I was able to take my pain and not make perfection, but really get to a place of sense of self, be vertical in who I am, and understand that if I want to be loved unconditionally, I got to do what I call the superwoman or superman effect. I got to open all the way up. And I got to say, look at me. There's moving parts about me that I love. There's moving parts about me that, I don't like too much. And there's some of these moving parts that's going to tear your ass a new one if we get into a relationship and my trauma happens to be activated. But I know one thing: I'm valuable enough, I'm worthy enough to have someone love me through that, to help me get through it. So since I know that, I want to do that with other people and show them that, look, I love you through your pain. I may have to take you in dosage or touch and go, but you're worthy, brother, of me saying, look, I know you're having a moment, you're having a trauma episode. I don't have to detach, but I can give you a moment. I don't have to add salt to your wound. I can see you. I see you. Like, I see your pain. I see you. I got you. I can facilitate you, hold space for you. I don't have to unplug from you. And when you talk to people's pain, you talk to the person.
Yeah.
You're not talking to your idea of them, the fairy tale of them, and you're not talking to their mask. When I said that to this brother, I'm not saying he was, but he got emotional. I could feel it. I could see it. Because people want to be seen, Sway.
Yeah.
They want to be loved, and they want to know, regardless if I pivot left or pivot right, you got me? You got staying power? Can you commit to me? Can you hold space? Can I trust you? Forget trusting to cheat. Can I trust you to be there?
Mm-hmm.
Can I trust you to have my back? Having my back is that. And so with that, I think our community is so used to sabotage, and we're so used to not knowing how to facilitate trauma, that we look at trauma and toxic as a way of, oh, we all got to go heal in our corner. And then once we heal, let's find each other. Right. But that's why we're all islands, because we're never going to heal. We're never going to be perfect. So we're never going to find each other. So at what point do I help you find you? And through helping you find you, guess who I find?
Yourself.
Come on, man.
So come on, man. I like this. I hear you talk. I've heard you speak two things. I often hear you use the term "my vertical self." I want to be my vertical self.
Yeah.
Can you explain that to the audience? What does that mean?
Yeah, and this is the thing, being vertical, and this is why I get on our community so much about these broken houses and broken families, because being vertical is something that comes from a childhood. It comes from a home, and it comes from parents who teach you that your trauma's not too much, your issues aren't too much, your opinions aren't too much. There is discipline, and you might get that ass tapped if you go outside of what discipline is to that parent, but I love you, right? And that teaches a person who's a child to grow up like myself and have what is extreme self-love. That self-love and gives you value that makes you vertical in who you are, which means you don't live in dogma. So like I came into this whole celebrity status world, not by choice, but obviously God's will. And there's, many people who love me. And you got the small handful of people who don't like it. They don't like accountability, or they just don't like what I'm saying. So I always say, Mama, some days I wake up, they love me. Some days I wake up, they don't. But every damn day I love myself. And thank you so much, because my mother, my grandmother, my parents, my father, they instilled in me that you are enough. And when I was going through my abandonment as a little girl, my grandmother who raised me, she never made me feel like you're too aggressive, you're too angry, you're too frustrated. She just said, baby, I understand. I'm not your mom, but I'm giving you everything I got. I can't take your mama's place. But I got you. I remember I was an angry child. I got kicked out of the school district because of my abandonment issues and things that I was experiencing from neglect. My mom was, addicted to the drug that my father sold. And I was going to school one day, 10th grade, and I always dressed really cute. This day I put on sweats because I knew what time it was. Pulled up to the school sway, and my grandmother, she's a G. She went to drop me off. She looked at me. She said, now I didn't even tell her anything was going on. She looked at me. She said, baby, you want me to go in with you? I swear to God. And I looked at her and I said, nah, Ma, I got it. She said, all right, but if you change your mind, I'm a phone call away. This is what I mean by being vertical and allowing me to feel what I felt, process what I felt, and even emotions she didn't understand. She held space for me. She facilitated me. And so all I do is hold space for people to get in contact with their emotions and build a good relationship with how they feel. The reason why folks lack emotional intelligence isn't because of the other person. It's because they don't have a good relationship with emotions. And so if emotions never served me and I get into a relationship with you and then now I got to feel something, you think I'm staying or am I sabotaging? Am I flighting? I can't commit to that if I can't even process and sit in my own emotion, because emotions never work for me. Because the time that I felt for a lot of people, the time that a lot of people have felt, their father left them. The time that they felt, their mother left them. The time that they felt, they might have been getting beat. The time that they felt, they might have been getting sexually abused. And so if you associate emotion to abuse, then what do you think happens when you fall in the healthy love? You also become triggered as that abuse.
Right.
And people who don't know that will sabotage. And then the partner will say, but I'm loving you with everything I have. You loving that person at a 10, but that person is only receptive at a 2. So is that a them problem or a you problem? That's a them problem. They don't feel lovable. So if I'm being loved at a 10 and I only could receive a 2, and I don't have the awareness to say to you, Sway, you love the hell out of me. I've never been loved like this. I want to be loved like this, but I'm at a 2. Baby, I apologize. But can you hold space and facilitate me while I get up to maybe an 8 or a 9? Because I want to receive all of it. But the things I've gone through, my trauma, aren't allowing me to be lovable. See, those are conversations that we have to have with people. But how do you have them if you don't have the awareness?
If you don't have the awareness. Dr. Bryant is here. But how does that happen? I've heard you speak of the importance of a partner loving you as a whole person. even when you're going through your evolution or parts that may be insecure. If I'm a man, how can I practice that?
I love that. Solitude, not isolation. We have a whole culture of isolated people. Isolation breeds depression. And people are like, isolate to elevate. No, you can separate to elevate. For moments, you don't isolate. Isolation is deflection. Isolation means you're deflecting from something you don't want to face. When you're going to have to face it at some point.
Avoidance.
Now, solitude is where maturity grows. Solitude is where emotional intelligence becomes strengthened. Solitude is where you gain a sense of self as a man, awareness. So as a man, the only way you can learn to love me effectively is if you learn to love who? Yourself. And if you are a black man who's fatherless, that means that every time you look in the mirror, you see the father you never had because you are a product of him. So if this father you never had is a person who abandoned you, he's an a-hole, he's no good, he's a nothing, A-N-I-G-G-H, because you can't understand why he left you. I don't care if you're age 16 or 55. A fatherless boy is a fatherless boy, and that boy shows up at age 55, 45 until you get into them pain pockets, face that, heal that, and say, you know what? I'm not my father. Let me disassociate myself from him. Because what happens is you can't love me. You can't love your woman because you don't love yourself. Because you see him in you and you see him in every other black man you come in contact with. So guess what? Yeah, you resentful toward black men and don't even know it. Yeah, you got a problem with other black men and don't even know it. So now we got black on black crime. And black on black crime isn't just murder. Black on black crime is two black men who can't get along, who can't agree to disagree, who can't just support each other as brothers because they got this father and daddy issues that they're unaware of. And they're thinking that they're healed because they either got an education, accolade, money, power, or I'm going to go further, excuse my language, or bitches. And none of them make you healed. All of those are all aesthetics, tangible things you can replace. The things you can't replace are the things you're not getting, which is substance, real relationships, plugging into people. Because we all know relationships that get you indoors that money will never buy. We know that.
Dr. Bryant here, man. Yeah, I'm going to send you some. Give me an invoice. It's about to turn into a session right now.
Right.
Well, you talk about, like, when I think about trying to get into a healthier relationship, sometimes I liken it to trying to eat healthier. Right. And when you first start trying to eat healthier, it has way less flavor. You know, is that true too when you're trying to move into healthier relationship? You eating healthy food, people, I don't like the way it tastes. But you know it's good for you.
Yeah.
Is there a correlation with that in healthy relationships?
100%. And the correlation is food may taste nasty, but becoming a healthy person gets lonely. And that's where the solitude ends up being what loneliness turns into. But you got to sit in that space long enough for what? For those feelings to pass through. I always say we're supposed to feel like this, surrender mode, hands up. When feelings come through, we're supposed to let them pass through. What do people do? Anger, depression, and they clamp on that. Whatever feeling you clamp on is a feeling you get to hold on to. And so while you're going through your healing journey, it's going to get lonely. Because as the Bible says, whatever can be shaken, what? Gonna be shaken. And whatever can't, won't. So as you're healing and you're evolving, your fruit starts to look different. Your planting starts to look different. Watering of your seeds look different. And so if you're growing different branches, that certain fruit that were too heavy, that can't hold, when you shake, those things do what? They fall off.
They fall off.
And it gets lonely. And just like different seasons, when you get into fall, trees are empty. We have a whole yard full of cherry tree, every tree you could think of in our yard of our house. Every fall, my mother wants to cut down all the trees because there's nothing on them. And I say, Mama, but spring comes and summer comes and our cherries blossom like crazy. Our fig tree blossoms like crazy. Our apple tree. We got to let this go through their season as the yard looks ugly and funky because the next season comes and it's absolutely beautiful. The birds are chirping, the butterflies are flying. And so that is what our growth process looks like. It got lonely for me as well. I had to fire people. I didn't have to cut off friendships. They fell off because God shook the tree. And
you were engaged.
I was engaged. I called off 2 weddings. I called off my last engagement 6 years ago. But understood that that was God's will. And that was me entering to a different stage and season of my world. And that's when things got extremely lonely. They even got a little dark. I even got mad at God. People don't like to admit that. That we go through seasons where we're like, we're mad at God. And it was because God was bringing me closer to myself. So I really wasn't mad at him. I was mad at the things that I was seeing in myself that I knew had to be shifted, healed, and changed.
Dr. Bryant is here, man.
Dr. Bryant, baby.
I'm calling her first name. 888-742-3345. Phone lines are lit up. Tracy.
Dr. Bryant, can we speak about, I would say, a niche form of pleasure that's getting a lot of public attention right now? Humiliation kinks. And there are some very public-facing relationships that many people are speculating is a display of a humiliation kink. And for any listener that's unfamiliar, I would define it as someone who is orchestrating their partner to be publicly embarrassed or exposed so that they can derive a sense of satisfaction. But on the flip side, the concern is something a consensual kink, or is something a showing of a power imbalance that can be unhealthy? Also, if someone is involved in a relationship like that, how can they do so while still honoring their own autonomy and well-being?
Well, anything that's not consensual is obviously not honoring somebody. And I always say relationships are subjective. Those 2 subjects design the relationship they want. And so if humiliation kink is something that 2 people agree to, I think they also have to figure out what are the rules of engagement, right? What are the rules of what we're agreeing to? But once it gets to a place of humiliation and that person isn't okay, that's just disrespect. And now you broke a commitment. And for me, relationships aren't about, again, societal constructs. They're about what did you and I commit to do or not do.
Yeah.
And if that means public affection, to humiliate each other and it turns us on, hey, by all means. For me, I think that's a little absurd. I wouldn't advocate for that. And I damn sure wouldn't want someone to do that to me. I mean, I'm into some kinky stuff, but I don't want my kinky stuff to be, everybody's not privy to the things I do, because I think they.
So you do draw a line on what you may discuss private or publicly.
You know what? That's a good question. Because I don't believe I draw a line with what I would discuss pertaining to myself. Okay. Personally, but I'm single. But when I do get a husband or get back into a relationship, that would be something I discuss with him. Yeah. I would say, baby, how much are you okay with me discussing? I asked my mother, how much about your addiction are you okay with me discussing? Because now she's sober, 10 years sober. I asked my father before he passed, how much of your street stuff, your dope dealing, are you okay with me? So I think it's about respect. It's all about communication. Yeah. Love is me making sure that I'm doing things that are speaking your language. Things that are not going to dismantle you. Now, if my husband says, baby, go all balls out, I'm cool with it. I mean, I probably would be very open about speaking about whatever we do, especially if it's going to change a life or give a tool for someone to have wise counsel in their marriage. I'm an open book. And so I usually date men who are a little more reserved than I am. But I also believe that's because that's what I'm attracted to. I don't like a man who's the center of attention, and he's chatty chancy, and he just has to be the life of the party. I like the guy who sits his ass down somewhere and knows how to just be a man, get you a drink and chill out, and then tell me when it's time to go, and I'll let you know if I'm ready. I don't need you working the room.
What's that?
I don't need you working the room.
What's in your hand right there?
Handing her a drink.
I
see what you did there.
You happen to be sick.
I'm joking with you, but that's the key one.
I prefer that. So my thing is, and I'm always, that's where I'm a hybrid at. Yeah. Hybrid, which is an alpha submissive, because I am alpha submissive. It's a hybrid. And I, which is, the new word they're using now, since I said it, Cash Star used it on her interview with Shay Shay. She's like, I'm a hybrid. Wait. Alpha submissive. I know you said that, Dr. Bryant, but my point of saying that is meaning I'm alpha when it comes to business in the boardroom, when it comes to running my company, when it comes to those things, but I am fully submissive when it comes to my man, to the point where, you know, my ex-fiance didn't like when I would, like now, I dress very sexy and very professional, but I show cleavage. He didn't like that. So I would ask him before I leave the house, baby, is this okay with you? You know, do you like this? Poppy, you good with this? You all right with this? And if he said no, I would change. If he said yeah, then I would move forward with it. But it's about, I like to submit because that's my way of showing my ultimate respect to you. Meaning, I want to feel good and look good, but not at the expense of you feeling any type of way. And if me dressing differently reassures you, my job when I choose you is to reassure you. That's not called an insecure man. That's called a grown man who's communicating with his woman and is vulnerable enough and safe enough with me to say, that doesn't work for me. And as a grown woman who is safe and secure enough to say, okay, or can we negotiate it? Maybe I do like it. But my go-to is to submit. This isn't about being pick-me. This is about being grown. This is why our divorce rate is so high. You know, women don't know how to submit, and men are trying to run things and cover women who aren't used to being covered because they have daddy issues and never been covered. And so when he goes to cover you, you say he's controlling you. No, he's covering you. Men know what other men think and see. Men know how other men move. And he's your man. If he has a request, you can do one or two things. You can honor it or you can communicate about it.
What are examples of controlling?
Controlling is a man who's doing it from an egocentric perspective that says, I want you to do these things so I know I have power over you. That's very different than saying, baby, we're going to go in a room full of men and you have your breasts out or you have a short skirt on and you are my woman. I don't want men viewing you in the same way that I view you. I don't want you to leave without me and you run into men who approach you and now you're in a problem or a concern and you have to call me. And now you're putting me at risk because I'm going to come in there and I'm going to shut the shit down for you. So as a woman, you have to know who you choose. And I say, if I choose you, I trust you. And my thing is this, by the time I have a man and I'm committed, I'm dressing to feel good for myself first. He's second.
Yes.
And my ex-fiance would say, well, baby, who else are we trying to impress when we leave this house? And I would say, Daddy, only you. So then what are we talking about? Because when I'm with him, he's gassing me up. I was sexy. I was beautiful. I was this. You know, I could walk across the room with my hair in a bird's nest and some sweats in a tank and no bra. And he's like, ooh, wee. So if you gassing me up at home, then I'm good. Now, for men who are turning, you know, a blind eye to your woman, you're not giving her that love and pouring into her, and she's doing it for attention, she needs to sit down and have a mature conversation with you and say, baby, you're not giving me enough attention. And for the men who say, that's thirsty, I say, grow up. You should be thirsty for your woman.
Yes.
She should thirst trap for you. If there's any place that we do all of these provocative things, it should be with our husband and wives. I should be able to be a hoe with my husband and it not be anything that's, oh my God, I should be able to dress and wild out with him in any capacity I want to.
The safest place to do so.
The safest. And he should be able to have his way with me in any capacity as long as I authorize it. And that's when you have a healthy marriage, a healthy relationship.
Dr. Bryant is here, man.
That's my girl right there.
Just part one.
That's my girl.
We're doing a Dr. Bryant series here on this show.
Everybody okay?
We gonna come back, man. We got this is our halftime show right now. Play some Dead Prayers. I'm not sure how it works other places, but we like to do it live in the moment.
Right.
Dr. Bryant is here, psychology expert, life coach, president of NAACP LA. Founder of the Dr. Bryant Institute.
With these type of conversations, though, Dr. Bryant, are you receiving more suitors? Do you feel like it has men more magnetized towards you, or is there a higher intimidation?
You know what? I would say that there's a higher intimidation. Men are more passive with their pursuit of me. Do I like that? I don't. I like a man who pursues me very firm.
Yeah.
I don't like aggressive, but very firm. Very, I want you. What's up? Can I have you? And I'm not talking sexual, y'all. I'm saying, like, I want you. I want to date you. I want to see you. I want to commit to you. What's up? I like that type of guy. But they've been more passive. And I've noticed that this part I don't like, but I'm going to say it with all humility. Most men have felt like they're not good enough for me.
Wow.
But as I continue to evolve and rise in my career and within myself as a woman, especially with me being in my choosing stage, now they're really at this space of, I'm not good enough for you. And that's where as long as I've been in my field as a psychology expert, I have a real challenge processing that because I don't see anyone as inferior to me. And so I constantly say, can you tell me why you feel that way? Because I don't understand why. And this is not about, we had this conversation outside, the equally yoked thing. This is not about.
With Kalani?
With Kalani. Me and Kalani had this conversation outside. He asked a really good question about equally yoked.
What'd he say?
And
Man, get on the mic, man.
Come on down. Try to be.
Lonnie Light in
Sorry
the
to
area.
put you on blast, baby. I'm sorry.
Lonnie Light is a very mature 22-year-old.
What did you ask, Lonnie Light?
I said I went on her Instagram. And I was like doing my diligence, looking her up and stuff like that. And I watched a clip of her talking about like what it means to be equally yoked in a relationship. And she was explaining it to me.
Yeah, and I was telling him, this is to our point, that equally yoked is not about someone being better, worse, inferior, superior. Equally yoked is about, are we equally yoked in our values, in our vision, right, in our substance internally, not externally. And I explained to him, I said, I'm a doctor. I can easily become equally yoked with a janitor. I could be equally yoked with someone who is any type of career or title that is less than a doctor or an attorney. That just means he's my person. That means that he sees me. That means that exactly who he is, not who I'm teaching him to be, does it for me. It activates me, it empowers me, and he loves me down. I can get with a doctor, attorney, or an athlete, and they can completely be the image and the ideology. Great look for my brand. But they cannot be equally yoked with me.
Right.
And so people are choosing the idea, which is their own ideology, their fairy tale, and they're not choosing the person. And what I say to you, I said an idea does what? It'll change, it'll fluctuate. But a person, we may shift, but we are who we are. So when we fall in love with the person, right? Yes. It's easier to stay with a person through the stuff, because stuff is going to happen to anybody. No relationship is perfect. But when you fall in love with your idea, you never plug in. You could take your idea and clothe anybody with your idea. So you're never in a real relationship. You are only in that marriage or that idea, not with that person, and that's dangerous.
Right.
All of that on the walk from the lobby to the room, huh?
That's why you took so long, Lonnie.
Mike Muse, I see you over here just, fascinated and quiet, which normally doesn't happen.
Yeah, this is my first time meeting you, Dr. Bryant, and it's really good to hear your insights and how you think. You're quite the vibe. When it comes to relationships, I heard you talk about, I'm an active listener. So when you're talking about relationships and communication is the key, I'm curious if you can give our listeners some steps in terms of not everyone is that assured of their agency, and their agency may not be strong enough to have the conversations that can be uncomfortable, even if you do know somebody for 5 years. So what steps or tools or exercises can you give our audience when they're entering a relationship and they may want to commit long-term, this is my forever person, in terms of how to have those uncomfortable but necessary conversations for a great partnership?
See, he may not talk much, but when my brother talks, God, you're on point with the perfect question, because you said tools and people need tools. Yeah. Let me say this, though. Words don't teach, experience does. Why am I saying that? Because I can give people tools all day long. Just like information or knowledge is not power, the implementation of knowledge is power. Right. So as I give you tools, y'all, you have to implement the tools so you get the experience on how it feels, how it's done, and the results that it's giving you. If it gives you the results that you want, run those same plays over and over again. If it doesn't, let's use a different tool. Let's use a different blueprint. How do you communicate when you're afraid? You got to feel the fear and do it anyways. You have to ask yourself, how bad do I want it? You know how many times I've had to communicate? I called off 2 weddings. Yeah. That wasn't easy. I don't care how strong of a woman I am. I was letting down his family, myself. I had to start all over. But I had to have those conversations with myself first, right? Which is God for me. And then I had to just say, this is going to hurt everybody. And I'm going to have to start over. And I've been with this man all of my 20s. And I have to do it afraid. I have to do it broken. I have to do it confused. 90% of whatever you're trying to do or wherever you're trying to get is inaction of getting there or doing it. The 10% it happen after you do it. And so everything we want is an action word. Even patience is an action word. Even be still, know that I'm God is still an action word. Communication is something that we have to learn to do because we speak things into existence. And if we don't speak them to existence, then what are we doing? We're just existing. Yeah. That means that we are alive, but we're not living. So we have to learn to have those hard conversations because what happens is everything we do becomes practice. It becomes momentum. Momentum goes either way that you do it. So I can learn to communicate, right? And the communication gets me closer to what I want, or I can learn to shut down and isolate, and isolation breeds depression. Mm-hmm. People who don't communicate go dark because they internalize what they should be externalizing. And you also have to ask yourself, is what I need to say worthy of me internalizing this? Back to your food analogy, me having to eat what I don't put out, which means now I'm sick, now I'm depressed. Or is it worth me just, hey, and look, this may turn to a conflict or confrontation that I would just be able to hopefully regulate and exit if need be, but I got to externalize what I'm internalizing. Mm-hmm. And it's not about what you're saying, it's how you say it. Emotional intelligence is knowing how to say two things. I identify what I feel. I process before I produce. Okay, I feel upset. Okay, great. Now, what do you want this person to know about you being upset? I want you to know that you spoke on something that I didn't authorize you to speak on, and you're my best friend, and that wasn't cool. Okay, that's what you want them to know? Yes. So how do you deliver that so they get the message and not your emotion? Because, see, feelings cause problems, not emotions. So once I get in my feelings, we already got a problem, then I'm reacting. Once I'm in my emotion, I'm identifying, listen, I love you. You're my best friend. I'm in my emotion. You told something I asked you not to. That hurt my feelings. I'm still in my emotion. Can I ask you to not ever do that again? And can I trust you not to do it? You say yes. And I say, can you commit to respecting my boundary? I'm still in my emotion. I have yet to get in my feelings. And my feelings is, you on some BS. I'm not with that. You could have did it differently. You was waiting to dog me. You was waiting to throw me. That's something in my, and you're like, whoa, wasn't my intent. But knowledge of the person, like the Bible says, love your partner. That just means anyone you're in a relationship with, not just your romantic partner, by knowledge of them. And knowledge means if I know you, not my idea of you, if I know you, guess what? I will already know you slipped up on accident and told my business. Which happens. I've had best friends for 26 years. I'm going, girl, you know. She's like, damn. But I'm not mad because I know her. I know her. That she would never. That's not her. She would have done it 20 years ago. That's not her. So knowledge gives us the ability to have compassion and grace for people. Yeah.
Love it. Dr. Cheyenne Bryant is here. Give out your social too. If you're not following her.
Come on, you late.
What is it? _ Dr. Bryant?
Yep.
_ Dr. Bryant. We have Nico on the line. We got callers, Dr. Bryant.
Up.
Nico, we're going to do quick questions and brief answers so we can get as many people as possible. Nico, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Hi,
He's in
Nico.
Orlando.
Hey, Nico.
I'm doing good. Thank you, everybody. Good morning. I'll try to keep this brief. So I'm newly married, about a month in now, but we did it backwards. Had kids together, bought a house together, then got married. Long story short, I took a lot on responsibility-wise real quick, and I've been dealing with my stress by drinking more than I should, and I try my best to I wake up every day. I'm not going to drink today, but at some point I end up drinking, and I go to bed still a little disappointed, like I'm letting my family down. And she reaches out to me and she asks, what can I do to help? And I don't know how to communicate, because on paper I'm taking care of all my business. I'm a good father, all that, but I also know I could be better if I could stop drinking. And she'll ask me why, and I don't know how to communicate the stresses that I have. I feel like we have different stresses. She's a mother. She's great at what she does. I feel like I'm a good father, but I could be better. But every time I go to have a drink, even if it's one or two, I could tell I'm looked at kind of like in a negative light. And that makes me feel even worse about myself. So it's like, how do I, because she's my person. She's my best friend. But there's times I'm like, she'll literally ask me, why do you do this? And I feel like, I don't know. I don't know how to tell you what I'm feeling.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, Nico, I want to tell you thank you, and I admire you for being so honest and so vulnerable about your issue.
Yeah.
That's just a superpower to me. I love that you did that. So thank you. Second off, what you described is you are a high functioning alcoholic, and I'm putting that out there not to poke at you, but we can't heal a lie. We can only heal the truth.
Yeah.
So you're
no, I agree with that.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll drink just to get, like, if I got a lot of work to get done that day, but let me pour me a drink so I knock this work out.
Right.
And I knocked the work out.
Right. And so that's what I was going to say is it seems like drinking has become two things, a soothing mechanism for you and a norm. So what I want you to do is I want you to take an inventory of what are the healthy things that soothe you. And I want you to reprogram.
Yes.
So every time you think to have a drink, I want you to do that other thing that soothes you. And if your wife is part of what soothes you, then I want you to invite her to be a participant in that. 1. 2, what is it that she can do? Be honest. And if it's nothing, say that. What is it that she can contribute to help you with your drinking issue?
Yeah. That I don't have the
No,
answer on top of my head.
answer the question. You do have an answer. What is the first thing that comes up? What is it that she can do to help you? Whatever comes up, bring it up. Just say it.
I come home from work. The house is a disaster. Kids are going nuts. It's there's small things like that that just go a long way for me. And
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna cut you off.
mean to
I'm gonna
sound
cut you
petty.
off. No, it's okay. I'm gonna cut you off on purpose. Okay, my cutting off is love. I promise. So, have you communicate that to her?
Yeah, I have.
What was her response?
She hears me, but then it's a lot of, well, I did this to that, I did this to that, and I had time to get to that. And, okay, and I try to understand that. Okay, you had a busy day. I get it. Yeah, I don't try to harp on.
So
try to be hard on
hold
it.
on. So you're not being heard, and you're not being seen. And you said, you said you do your part. From what I know, correct me if I'm wrong. You said you work, you pay the bills, you're doing your manly part, right?
Yeah, and even if it helps a little context, our daughter biologically, our oldest child daughter, biologically she's not mine, but she sees me as her father, and I'm already in the process of legally adopting her, all that. Now our son is mine, so it's just and this all happened in the last 2.5 years. I went from being single to married, 2 kids, bought a house. It happened real fast. And I'm not complaining about it. I love where I'm at, but
wait, hold on,
I'm
stop, Nico, stop, because you keep making sure that you disclaim that you're not complaining about it. You keep making that disclaimer. What are you trying to protect?
I just don't want to let the family down.
Hold on. You don't want to let the family down, but you're not being heard or seen in your house. Hold on. You're self-projecting. You've been let down. And you're self-projecting on them saying, I don't want to let y'all down because you've been let down. And whatever pain you felt from being let down, you're trying to protect her from.
That's God real deep.
But you listen, while you're trying to protect her, you are demising your marriage.
Okay.
Because there's no one person to protect in a marriage. There's only 2 people who became one to protect. There's a partnership to protect. So listen, hear me out. When you go to protect her and not yourself, you are creating separation. When she goes to protect you and not herself or not y'all collectively, she's creating separation. A house divided can't stand. Your job is to say, as a collective, how do we protect this partnership? And part of that is you being a man who's heard and seen. A woman hearing you is respect. A woman seeing you is respect. So you're not complaining, you're asking to be respected.
So what would you suggest, how does he go about it when it appears that he's brought these things up to his wife?
Yeah.
How would you suggest he go about it?
If him communicating isn't penetrating with her, then y'all have to seek therapy. You have to get someone who can actually help process what you're saying to her so that she can hear your message. And let me say this. If she's a fatherless girl, she's not hearing you. She's hearing her trauma. So every time you speak to her about the house not being clean or something that you need her to do more or be better at, she hears the little girl in her say, I told you weren't good enough. Her trauma eclipses what you're saying. That's called a trauma episode. And if her trauma's talking to her, not her husband, she damn sure is not going to hear you.
Yeah, I never thought about it that way. Sometimes we'll get in arguments, and my thing is like, what am I? My main question is, what I'm doing, is that not enough? That's where my frustration comes from at times. But I never thought about it how you just put it. So,
but listen to me, it's not that, and I can't speak for her, but from what I'm hearing, it's not that you're not doing enough. We talked about this earlier in the show. If you're giving her 10 and she's only able to receive a 3 or a 4, that means you're a gallon and she's a pint. That means that when you're pouring your whole 10 into her 3 or 4, her pint, you're overflowing her. She's overwhelmed. And when she pours her pint into your gallon, baby, you're not filled up. That's not equally yoked. Doesn't mean she's not your person. It means y'all have work to do.
Nico, I'm gonna have to. This session has to go.
I know. Yeah,
Yo, Nico, it's just an hourly thing.
Yeah.
Hey, but listen, Nico, this is live, but it's on the SXM app.
Yes.
I would play this conversation back. Would you suggest that?
Smart.
Like, I would play it back.
I love that. So I told you Sway got all
Yeah.
that.
Come on, Dr.
Yeah.
Brian. I'm embracing that too.
And others can do that too.
I appreciate all y'all for real.
Oh, it's all
I'm
love,
a long time
Love you, Nico.
listener.
man. That's love, brother.
Wow,
Hey,
you
Nico,
cool.
good luck, man. Go and have that conversation. And I want to offer that you love yourself enough to trust yourself to be able to be respected and heard in your household.
Nico,
Absolutely.
you, all those beautiful kids, and your lovely wife, you are all
A
citizens.
Sway in the morning.
My man, have a
Appreciate
beautiful
it,
day,
y'all.
all right? Wow, man. Let's give her a round of applause, man. We only got so much time in the day, but my
gotta
God.
stand
Have a
up.
standing ovation for Dr. Bryant here. Dr. Bryant, man. Dr. Bryant.
Ooh, you need like 100 SiriusXM subscriptions to match the value that Dr. Bryant.
More than that, man. Mona in L.A. says, does she have a book? Mona, are you there, Mona? Mona.
Yes, I am.
Hi, Mona.
Hi, beautiful. How are you?
Hey, sis, I'm
I
wonderful.
love what you're saying. I hear you empowering humans, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
The things that you're saying is not just empowering the relationship, but it's empowering individuals. And if you listen and you take heed, you could be such a better person. I love what you're saying. I do stand-up comedy, and so I try, the mic is a powerful instrument, so I try to use it to educate. Because we are so uneducated as African Americans. We're so uneducated. We got a smartphone in our hand, and they still walking around dumb. So I try to put the two together. You know what I mean? Back up. Let's get smarter. Let's do better. You know what I mean? Let's think better. And if you're doing the same thing, you can't expect a different outcome.
There you go.
That's insanity, right, Mona?
Yeah.
You have a book, Dr. Bryant?
Yeah, I do. My book is Mental Detox. It's on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, online. It's the bestseller. Again, it was a bestseller in 2014. Ow.
Okay, we see
And so you can get it on Amazon. You can get it anywhere. And we're actually doing a revision of it where we're adding a workbook component to it. And so it's going to go from 100 pages to 200 pages. And it'll be this June 2025, the new version of it with the workbook component to be in it. But you can go get Mental Detox now.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Mona, you're a citizen. I'm going to
Sway in
take
the
one more
morning.
call. He claims he knows you. He goes by the name of Jose.
Jose.
Jose in D.C. What up, Jose?
Hey.
How you know Dr.
Sway,
Bryant?
how y'all doing?
Excellent. How do you know Dr. Bryant?
I'm going to let Dr. Bryant say how she know me.
Jose,
That laugh
Jose.
right
I
there.
don't know about that.
I don't like that
Jose,
laugh.
I don't know about that laugh. How do I know you, baby?
Too
Give me some clues.
So we're on a podcast together. You know, I'm a executive protector for one of the podcast members. I won't name any names, but Dr. Bryant knows me from a podcast.
What podcast? There's no secrets here. What podcast?
So you know we're on TC together. Tonight's conversation.
What?
Okay.
No, you know what?
This Jose.
What's going on?
Hey, baby.
What's
What
going
you
on,
doing?
Big
Y'all stand
Daddy?
up for Dr. Bryant.
Come on, give it up for
baby.
Dr. Bryant. How she sound today,
Give it
Jose?
up for Dr. Bryant.
How it
Hey,
sound
she
today?
sound great.
Yes.
I wasn't trying to give up anything, but this her show, this her thing, man. And she said chills through my body what she was saying. And, she's a great woman, man.
Yes,
Y'all ever
she
get a
is.
chance to, the people who get the chance like me to actually sit down and talk to her on a personal level and just one-on-one, oh, my gosh, it's incredible.
Wow.
And I appreciate her for everything she does. Just a great woman, man. But I had to give her flowers while she was
Let
on
me
here.
tell you this, Jose, I love him. Jose's about 7'5", 300 and something pounds. And whenever we together, I am not safe. I'm safe. Am I not, Jose?
Yes, she is. Yes, you are. You super safe with me.
He ain't
what's
no
up.
joke.
Super
I love
safe.
you, man. Thank you for
Sway.
calling. I love you.
Yes,
Hey,
Jose.
Sway, I appreciate you guys, man. I appreciate all y'all, man. Y'all got a hell of a show. I want to say that.
Thank you.
Wow.
And,
Thank you, brother.
I listen to you guys every day, and all of you guys need your flowers too, because Black History is you. So I
Wow.
appreciate y'all.
That's real.
And we embrace those flowers. We'll take the whole garden, Jose, and we appreciate
Thank
that,
you,
man.
man.
Hopefully we'll cross paths one day, brother. You're a super citizen.
Yes, sir.
Wait a moment.
Yes,
Give
sir.
that
Thank
up,
you.
give that up, give
Have
that
a
up.
good
All
one.
right, Dr. Bryant, thank you. I hope you enjoyed your stay as much as we did.
Yes.
And then you are always welcome to come
But
back.
Jose kind of scared me. He did that laugh. I said, wait a minute,
Yeah, I
Jose.
thought one of those.
Like they
How's-
say.
Jose, what we do?
Yeah. 'Cause you know you single now, the stories could come
You know
out.
what I mean?
Yeah,
Shoot.
you
Was you
grew.
one of them weddings I called off, Jose? No. That's my boy, though. I love him.
You grew up in L.A.?
I am everything in LA. Yes.
Did you ever, before you go, did you ever have, and I mean, how did you not fall into gang culture? Was it not in your area or?
What? My father is the, founding members of the biggest Piru blood gang in Los Angeles. So, I mean, my dad was a street dude, a straight gangster. We grew up with, pistols in the house. Couldn't walk in the house until we checked the whole house with a pistol. He's one of the biggest drug dealers from state to state. He's no longer. That's why we could talk about it. Went to jail for murder when I was 2, beat the case, came out, and then the story goes from there. But yeah, so I'm a product of a street guy.
You're a product of it, right?
I'm a proud product of a street guy. Life wouldn't have been as amazing as it was without being that product. And because of that product is why I'm able to have such a broad, repertoire of things that I can talk about and talk to. I'm not speaking from a book. I speak from experience. And so I've seen a lot. My dad was a womanizer, the best father ever. But he has 6 of us by 5 women. Product of
my
a street
gosh.
guy.
Yeah, product of, and you say that with the most pride ever, though, right? Well, most people, when they think about that lifestyle, they demean it. They frown on it.
And it's because, not everybody's blessed to have a father who's in that lifestyle, but he's a daddy.
Yeah.
So I seen him womanize women. That doesn't mean abuse. That means he had multiple women he's sleeping with, having kids with. And I had him be able to sit in front of me and say, if you meet a man who looks like me, smells like me, thinks like me, run. Because he's going to end up dead or in jail. Don't date anything like me. He said, if you get a man who can father like me, you're lucky. But if you get a man who's anything like me, run. Don't bring him home. And I was able to openly tell my father, I know we got a rap father, I don't like that you got all these kids by all these women. And he said, baby, I'm happy you don't like it. Please don't get anything like it since you don't like it. So with me, I had a father who spoiled me. He loved on me. He taught me the game. We were best friends, very close, bought me my first car, gave me my first ring on my ring finger, So I had all these first with a father who was my first love. And a lot of young girls get fathers who choose the streets over me. And my father said, listen, and in his words, y'all know, remember he's a street guy. He said, there's no HOE or no streets that ever come before you. And I told him, the streets I agree with, but a woman I don't. Because if you end up married and have a wife, I believe she comes before us. And he said, those are your beliefs. Let your husband do that with you. Them ain't my beliefs. Period. He said, I wasn't meant to be a husband. I was meant to be a father.
Wow. Oh, hey, man. Shout out to Dr. Bryant's dad. All right. All right. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. Dr. Bryant is here. Dr. Cheyenne Bryant is here. Make sure you follow her. That's _ Dr. Bryant.
Yeah.
All right. Man, what a great day.